Okay. Everyone okay with it? Okay. We're on lesson 26. Is that what everyone's got?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Tone, colon, agona, and tone, colon is what? It's from kalos, isn't it? Kalos is, you remember what that is?
Is that good?
That's good. What kind of goodness is it? Now, agathos is one kind and kalos is another.
Agathos is morally good, and kalos is good and it has all of its parts.
That's correct.
25 next time.
Okay. All right. Now, kalos and feminine form, it's an adjective. In the feminine form, it's the word for beautiful for a woman, for example, or handsome for a man, see. And, all right, agona. Now, the word agony comes from that, see. And agonisma. Tone, dromon, teleka. Tain, pistine, tetereka. All right, now we have two perfect indicative verbs here. So we'll look at them here in just a minute. Right here and right here. So I have fought the good fight. I have fought it, okay. I have finished the course. Dromo on the course, like a race course. The hippodrome. Hippos is horse. So the hippodrome was a race course for the horses to run in their chariot races. Hippodrome. This comes from this word, hippos plus this word here. Now then, you see the reduplication here, and of course it's got a kappa on it, and so it's perfect. And so right here, tain, pistine. What's that? Tain, pistine.
The faith.
The faith. All right. So with the article, it usually refers to that system of faith known as the gospel. Right. And so here, this is from tereo. This is from tereo, which is to guard a present possession. So it's you're guarding something you presently possess. Okay. From 2 Timothy 4:16. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith. Okay. Any questions? All right. Now we have the perfect middle passive now. Let's go back and review a minute. What two tenses have separate forms for middle and passive? Only two of the tenses have separate forms. All the other ones have the same form. You have to go by context.
Aorist in future?
Aorist in future, that is correct. Keep drilling you on you kind of remember that now. Those two have separate forms for middle and passive. All the rest of the tenses have the same form, and you have to look to context to tell which it is. But if you have an aorist or a future, those two right there will have their separate form. Now that's more than half your verbs will have separate form, because you have a lot of aorist and a few future verbs. Okay. Yeah. Get less into the various principal parts. We'll talk about them a little bit later. The fifth principal part from lesson 29 of the Greek verb is the perfect middle. So we have the perfect middle from which the perfect middle and passive are built. Now, what I've been able to determine from my studies on this, the middle voice was first, and the passive voice came later, according to the experts. So If that's true, then it was middle, and then they built the passive off the middle form. Okay. The perfect means the same as the active voice. Now, what this here he's saying is when you go from active to the middle or passive voices, the meaning of the perfect tense really doesn't change. It's only the voice that is different. So the perfect tense still has the same meaning. So we'll go back and look at some of that in just a little bit. Okay. The perfect means the same as the active voice. Now he's not saying active and middle and perfect and passive all have the same meaning. He's saying that the tense has the same meaning. The voice is different. The main characteristic of perfect, middle, and passive is that the primary, middle, and passive endings, same as the present, now are added directly to the reduplicated verb stem without a connecting vowel. So what we see here is there's no connecting vowel. So let's take luo down here just as an illustration. I highlighted it, luo. So what we do is we take the omega off right there, take it off and put my on it. All right. So we replace the omega with a my. And then we put a reduplication on the front of it. So we have it like this. We'll have lu, o, and I'll highlight it here. I'll change that. And then I'll just change it to there. Now there it is. Don't have an accent mark on it. But what we do is we take the my ending. So we take that and make it a my. And that's how we make the ending. And we put a reduplication. And we have this for a reduplication on the front of it. Does that make sense to everybody? How we do that? All right. Any questions? That's how we did it. Now, if we want to make it second person, we just change the my to a side. We want to make it third person, we've changed that to tie. Are there questions? See how it works? Pretty simple. Any questions? If we'll make it plural, we don't have to see, we just make this right here, meta, or stay, or nunta. Okay. Any questions? Other questions?
Yeah. If it's a consonant instead of a vowel, do you instead of upsilon there, if it was before a consonant, do you have that situation?
I think you'll have to have a connecting vowel on it, I think.
Okay, that's my question.
Ends in a consonant. Okay. Right here, we have some other rules down here for some other forms, okay? But that's how it works right there. Any question about that? Of course, your infinitive will just be thigh, and that will put thigh right here. Right? Pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Yep.
Now, what do you do for the pluperfect? They've got the pluperfect in here just kind of as an afterthought because there's not many of them in the New Testament. So what they do with the pluperfect is they come across in this ending here. Let's go back to my ending. Let me just make this lu o, an omega ending, okay? And we'll start right there from luo, and we'll just leave the reduplication on there. So let's go over, and what he says with the pluperfect, the middle and passive are made the same way, the same as the imperfect. So let's go back over here and find our imperfect endings. Your imperfect endings right here are here. Right here, your imperfect endings. That's your table that you had. And of course, and you have ometha, omen rather, este, and on. Okay, so let's take this on ending. We're going to put it over here. So we're going to come back over. and we just make this on. Does that make sense? Any question about that? Is that pretty straightforward? Remember, you don't have very many pluperfects anyhow, okay? So probably you'll just, when you run into one, you just use your lexicon and check it out. But that's what you do with it. It has the imperfect endings, which again, the imperfect endings were on this table right here, the imperfect right up here. All that, those endings, okay? So that's how you do it. Any questions? All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clear this off. Take just a moment. There you go. Got it cleared. All right. Now, what we have is, this is middle voice, the way he's getting it. He's that is in his middle. And of course, you read that as middle, but it could be, he shows it, or it's passive. Remember, it's all context. So he has first the middle, I have loosed for myself, or it could be I have loosed myself, see? And so that's would be little o, that's middle, and this is your passive, I have been loosed, okay? That's passive. And right here, they lose psi, you have loosed for yourself, singular, you singular, that's middle, or you have loosed yourself, could be. And you have been loosed will be your passive, if it's passive. Any questions so far? That is psi. That is tie, and that they'll take, there's first your middle. He has loosed for himself, or he has loosed himself, and drop the four off. Or if you want, if it's passive, he has been loosed. He has been loosed. Okay. Okay. Lelutai. Lelumata. We have loosed for ourselves, or we have loosed ourselves. Middle. We have been loosed. That is passive. Okay. Let us say, you have loosed for yourselves, or you have loosed yourselves, you plural, and you all, that's good Southern English, you all have been loosed. Okay. Now, let's see. James, you're not from the South, so you don't know about you all. In the South, you all is singular. All y'all is plural. Y'all is singular. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Leluntai, they have loosed for themselves. I'm sorry, got it highlighted wrong. They have loosed for themselves, or a passive, they have been loosed, or they could drop the four off for themselves. You make that 11 point, I know, so right size print. This is 12 point print. Let me make that 12. All right, sorry about that. I'm just editing the book as we go, okay? I'll save that so I won't forget. All right. Okay. We have perfect middle passive infinitive, letters thigh. And of course, to loose, or to loose, to be loosed, or to loose yourself. Okay. To loose yourself, or to loose, or to be loosed would be passive. Okay. Are there questions? All right. Now we have oo, eo, and ao verbs. Those are contract verbs usually. They lengthen the vowel, and so they, just as in the future aorist and perfect, so they lengthen the vowel. So the vowel gets lengthened. So that vowel there gets lengthened. So your ending is my. Now back up here. That's your my ending. And what they do is they still have the my ending, but the vowel is lengthened. All right, if you have an "eo," now this is from the verb poieo. Okay, we do this symbol font. It's from poieo. That's the verb it's from. So what they did is they put the reduplication on the front, pe poieo, so it becomes pay, and that would be pay. Am I Mickey Mousing this too much for you? Okay. And this would become, we'd have the my ending up here. So I've changed that to my, and I've lengthened this connecting vowel, this epsilon becomes an eta. Eta is a long E, and so we'd have the eta. Does that make sense? How they do it? Of course, I don't have the accent mark, but don't worry about that. I'm trying to show you how it would be constructed. Are there questions? Is it pretty clear what we got there? How we do it?
Yes, sir.
Anybody else got a question? All right. Let's try another one here. That's an "eo" verb. All right. Down here we have another verb, and this is row. All right. Now you can type these if you put it in the symbol font when you're typing, okay? So you can just type at Phony Row. Of course, I don't have the accent mark. It'll be over the Omicron. So now we're going to do this. We're going to put a reduplication on it. That would be pay. So that's your reduplication. And so we have that. It's like we have over here. Now then we drop this. Let's make it my. Make it my. So this becomes my. All right. And we lengthen that short, that Omicron short, so we make it an omega. Right? Does that make sense how we work it? Everyone see it? Now, any questions? I will make it second person now. All I got to do is just change this my to a psi. That's second person singular. If I want to make it third person singular, that becomes tie. Like a tie ending like we got up here. Now, what do you think? Is that pretty straightforward stuff? So far, so good. All right. Now, we want to make it right here. We want to make it third person plural. All we do is just change this to a noon tie. Okay. Noon. And that would change it to third person plural. Okay. All right. That'd be third person plural. All righty. Now we didn't do an "ao" verb, but an alpha would become an eta. All right. So it'll become an eta to lengthen it. All right. Any questions? Did I thoroughly confuse you or what? Okay. Now then, we have me verbs, how we do them. And we have, this is from diddle me. It's not going in very good. Okay. Changing my format over here. I'll just type it down here. Well, I don't like that font. I'm going to go Times New Roman, make it 12-point font. Okay. All right. Now then, if I make this into symbol font, that'll be diddle me. Okay. Now, How do we do it? Well, we put a reduplication on the front of it. There's your reduplication. That will be D, D, E. And so that's your reduplication. And we're going to change the, right here, oh me, we're going to change it to oh my, okay? And so we got to get the root, we got to go back to the root of it, but this will become my. This will become an Omicron. And because this is your root, this is not a connecting vowel. Let's go over to didomi. I think I've got it in the lexicon over here, that file. And I'll find didomi. I was going to look at the perfect first. Let me do this right here first. You have a bunch of information about describing the perfect tense, what it means. We've been through this already, but this is in this book you have, in this electronic book, electronic file, page 349. Now what you can do is, I have a heading here, you can just type perfect tense and scan for it, Control H and get it. But this explains, it has Summers and it has Dana and Maddie and Burton, Vaughn and Gideon, Mounts. And then we have Wallace, Daniel Wallace, a couple from him, three things, and none, that's an intermediate grammar. Wallace is kind of an advanced grammar. And then we have down here, this is a longer one. This is none, intermediate grammar. And down here, again, more on the perfect. And right here, this is Davis. Right here, we have down here, let me see, this is perfect. And this is Black. And it's kind of an intermediate grammar. It's the easiest reading intermediate grammar. It's kind of a transition to more of an intermediate, okay? So let me go back over. I just want to look at didomi, go delta, so I go delta on the file, find delta, that gives your delta in the alphabet, and I can scan down to DI. There it is. The root is the do right there. That's what I thought. So that's your root. So now let's go back to it and let's see what I was talking about the root. See, there's your root. See, so what you're doing is you're taking the root and you're putting my on the root. That's how we got that Omicron, because that was the root. So we attached that, my to the root. There's your root. There's your reduplication. There's your my ending for singular. All right. Now, this is from didomi, and so we got that. All we need to do to make it second person is make it psi. Make that a psi. That'll make it second person. Any problem with that? See how that works. And this is from histome. So I'm going to get rid of this right here. And let's go back. Let's get rid of all that. Histome. Now we need a rough breathing on that first one, so I don't have it here. Sorry. And so I won't. I can get it, but it takes me a while to get it. So it should have a rough breathing here. Histome at the front. So right here, we need to go over here to find histome and get the root on it. And I think there is your root right there. And so that will be your root. And so the duplication is not real clear how we duplicate it here. Okay. This may be the root here. Let's go back. Let me find histome over here. All right. And this maybe might help you. And the iota. Find the iota. I'll go down to iota. This file has 400 pages in it, so that's why I just do the scan to the alphabet. And pi, sigma, rho, sigma, tau. There it is. Your root is sty. There's your root. All right. So what we come back here, there's your root. I thought it was. That's what I thought it was. So there's your root. Okay. All right. And so when they take it, we don't even see the alpha here. So we have to, that we had to become an eta, which is a long form. And so we have the root, and we just put the epsilon here with a rough breathing. And that's your reduplication. That's kind of tricky right there. That's the reason I wanted to go on that one. That's a little bit tricky. All right. Any questions there? All right. Then we have tithemy. That will be tithemy. And of course, with an accent. And they, I think, and it's, I think this is your root right here. Let's go over here and find tithemy, and we'll find it over here in the, and you can do this yourself. I mean, but with this file I've got, I've tried to put them in there, all right, so to help you. So I'll go over here and scan, go to tau, and put a space after it. If you don't put a space after it, it'll find the word taught for you. So I put one space after it. So when you come over here, there'll be a space in here, and that way you can scan that easily. But if you just put TAU, it'll catch the word taught on you. Okay, so I always I have an extra space in there, and I do that on all of these. Okay, so it won't catch on something. Theta, went past it. Right here it is. There's your root. They. That's what I thought. They was your root. Okay. All right. So we come back now. Go back over here to it. That's your root. Right there, what I had highlighted. Any questions? So now what we do is we put my, and they have an iota on it. Add to the root. There's your reduplication. See right here. And then that iota connecting vowel on it. And so this really becomes a diphthong with the epsilon iota. Okay. And so they make that, right, with the epsilon iota becomes a diphthong. That lengthens it. And so remember, you're lengthening, you wanted to lengthen it like you did up here. So that's how they lengthened and made it a diphthong. Okay. All right. Now, have I confused you enough? Any questions? All right. So I'm going to get rid of this over here. Now, the euphonic. And so this is from phone for sound, and then the U, epsilon, upsilon for good. So it sounds good. So what they do, what they're meaning here is they're going to put vowels together so they'll sound good. You wouldn't put two vowels together that didn't make a diphthongs, for example. You'd want to make it to sound good to the ear. And so that's changes in mute stems. And so now perfect stems that end in a mute suffer euphonic changes in the perfect, pluperfect, middle, and passive before the consonants of the personal endings. Okay. So let's come down here and see what they're doing, what they're saying here. Before the letter mu, a labial, kappa, beta, and phi becomes mu. Okay. All right. A palatal, kappa, gamma, and chi, and that's in your palate, see? That becomes a gamma, and a tau, delta, theta, those are dental. You can feel them on your teeth when you sound them, see? That's called dental. And then it becomes a sigma. So another dental, if you have a dental before a dental, another dental becomes a sigma, okay? All right. There's some of the rules, and some of these don't even occur in the New Testament. So we're not going to worry about these rules down here. I'm not going to spend time on trying to go through them, okay? But he tells you here some of these, not all of these occur in the New Testament, see? So there's no use in spending time to memorize them and learn them if you're not going to see them in the New Testament. Now, if you're trying to get in, to really get into Greek and maybe get a major in it or something, and you were trying to use it, and you were going to read extra biblical material, such as the writing of the church fathers or something like that, or Septuagint or something like that, then this would be good to learn, okay, these rules, okay? Any questions? Anybody have one? All right. Now, this is why some of these will have some odd forms, and they'll won't go by these rules that we introduce way up here, say. So these endings sometimes will be modified slightly. The connecting vowels and all will. Okay. Let's look at our vocabulary. And right here, dokimazo, this is to test something, but it's a word that is used for like testing the value of a coin, or the value of coins in that time were built into the minerals, in this case, the elements, gold, silver, and copper, bronze, that was in the coin. And so the coin that was gold, of course, would be worth more, and silver a little bit less. And then the bronze or the copper would be the least valuable coin. So what we hear is dokimazo is to assay something. I think of it like assaying. So let's write up here this word assay. It's like that word right there, like you'd assay an ore. You're hunting for gold, and you bring ore in and say, oh, it's just silver. Okay, well, that's good enough. I'll take the silver. Okay. You surely wouldn't get confused by silver and gold ore if you were trying to mine, but I'm just trying to be funny. Okay, dokimazo. That's to assay or check something. So right here, let me point out something for you. They take this word and make a noun out of it. Of course, they change the ending to make it into a noun. But a most ending for an adjective or whatever, they want an adjective or a noun, either one. So right here, this is your basic form. And then this is to assay or check or test by some standard. Now, God assays us to see if we are what we ought to be. And this word is used for it. Now then, if they want to check and say someone is not suitable to be assayed, that would just be, they would just change that to an alpha to negate it, alpha privative, say. Now, when in the adjective form, when they put it on there, that's the word translated reprobate. And so they negate it with an alpha privative, and this would become an adjective instead of a verb, and that would be reprobate. So something is reprobate if it doesn't pass the standard, once it's been checked. All right, now Calvinists, the term reprobate to them is something different than what the Bible teaches, of course. Any questions there? This word is kind of important here. There's a subtlety in Romans 1. They applied this to God, assayed God, and they rejected him. And then so he turned around and assayed them and put an alpha privative on it. And it's not even translated the same, but he found them to be unworthy, reprobate. Okay. So try, assay, test, to approve after you've checked it. All right. Any questions? Okay. And this is from a gyro to rise up. And so right here, this is the perfect middle passive form. So you got the my ending. So right here. And so you have here. I guess that would be your endings right there. We'd have to go find the root of this, but that's probably your root right there. And so this right here, it had an epsilon probably originally. And so the connective made it longer with an eta. There's your reduplication. And so then your my ending right there, that's be first person singular, right? A gay ray, a gay germa. Okay. Kathos. Now this right here, I'm going to put it up here. This was chi. Right? Chi plus and plus host. That's what it was. So chi, it was that plus host. Those rather. Ah, that's wrong. I got the wrong one. Those two words put together. So what happened then, the chi, when they are going to put this iota with this omega, won't work. So they did this. They made it a theta. Okay. That's kata, not chi, it's kata. It was kata plus host. All right. So what it is then, they took this and this becomes a theta. Right. Then that when they put them together, that it just took this plus out. That's how they got that word. That makes sense? Kata, according to, and according as. According to, kata would be according to in the distributive sense. If you go back to page about 10 or 11, and when we introduced prepositions with kata, and kata can mean according to in a distributive sense. And we're about to run out of time on this here, but maybe I can show that in a minute. I'll get over here and look at your prepositions. All right, that's how it came about. Kata plus host. Host is an adverb meaning as, and so this is according as. It's a little stronger than host. It has a rough breathing on the host and right there, which I didn't put up here. Koimao. And so this is I sleep. Koimao. Right? Meta bino. All right, now that's a compound word. Bino. So let's just put it like that. We have words put together. Meta and bino. And so that would be bino is to go. And this is meta, the preposition meta. Sometimes these prepositions, it's hard to see how that basic preposition fits in, but I guess somewhere in the past it did when they joined them together. This is to pass over. Meta is kind of in the midst of. So to pass over might have been started out and passed through the midst of, might have how it started out and then began to be a passover. Necros. Necrophilia is a person. It's nutty. Okay. Necros is dead. All right. All right. Now, in this translation down here, like hoi necroi down here, this is the dead. And so this is plural, of course, nominative plural, the dead. All right. So you have it several times down here. And we have necron, out of the dead. Okay. And that's plural, hoi necroi again. You have it several times down in here. Okay. That's why I put it in this plural form as well, right after it. Crypto, and a crypt is something that's a box things are hidden in, see. And crypto is a verb form of it. And so that's to hide something, right? And right here, the word homo has become a prefix in English meaning the same. Things are the same. A homonym, for example, say homo. And that's where it comes from this Greek word like or similar. Ute. Now these are very interesting, and I have in my Role of Women book, I have a pretty extensive discussion of the meaning of this. So if you have that book, electronic copy, you can find it in there and find that in that book. Okay. All right. Chorizo, a verb form of the word to separate. Okay. I think we had a compound word in the last lesson with chorizo in it, if my memory is right. All right. For separate. We might go back and look, but we're just about out of time. And right here's the perfect middle now. There's your my endings, first person singular. And this is from paithoo. And we need to get the root here. But I think there's your root, paith. And so it becomes pay, and the theta becomes a sigma, see? And so by this rule, we have to go back to the rule up here, and there's your reduplication. And then your my ending. We can go back and check that rule, but your theta probably becomes a sigma. Let's see how that works. Hold up here. Do we have a theta? Yeah, a theta becomes a sigma. So that's what happened there. That's how that worked. All right. Now, who? Let's see. Let me come to Ute, and I'll go over here in this book that I have, this file, no, wrong file, sorry, that one there, Ute, Omicron pi. So I'm gonna go to pi. The reason I'm going to pi, I'll show you in a minute. Pi comes right after Omicron, and so the Ute will be pretty close to the end. Okay, Ufiki, Ute. There should be right here. If you notice, there's a bunch of discussion about it right here, and it's adjunctive. Now, an adjunct is added to it. A disjunctive would be ude would be disjunctive, and so the or be translated like or, and so that's disjunctive, and this is adjunctive. An adjunct is something added to it. Now, right down here, I have more discussion on the ute and mete, and ude and mede. The distinction between them. There's a bunch of discussion down here because these kind of get into important information. So anyhow, there's a bunch of discussion here, and you can study it on your own. If you got any questions about it, if you can bring them up, and we'll go over and look at it. Okay. Are there questions now?
You have the word for the necroi, the dead, as in singular, and I seem to recall a discussion that somebody had, I think perhaps in Hebrews, about it being the dead ones. Is there is context what you go on there, or not?
Yeah, I would go the context on it.
Okay.
Usually when it has Jesus or someone like Lazarus being raised out of the dead, the word dead is usually plural. All right. And it's not, we say we have it raised from the dead. There's plural. And right here, this is plural also, out of the dead. So the Christ has been raised out of the dead. It doesn't mean he's raised. We think of him being raised from the dead. That's how it's translated. But actually, it's out of the realm of the dead ones. See? Does that make sense there? Out of the,
Yeah.
out of the realm of the dead.
That's exactly what I was thinking when you said that.
Yeah. So that's what we run into there, and that's plural, out of the realm of the dead. And it's usually plural. There's a time or two it's singular, and that when it's singular, there's something different about it, and you need to be careful and look at it more carefully. But I think we have here's to be raised, about to be raised in the last escate, in the last something. See, it's the elliptical. It'll last what? Probably the last day. This is singular. See, in the last day. Right. So it's singular and it's elliptical. Something's implied. There's kathos, even as, and again, we got a bunch in here. Some of this may be right out of the text of the Bible. Is getting more and more. This is out of the dead. This is singular. Okay. All right. So that's very interesting. That's singular down there. That's their dead singular. All right. Are there further questions? All right. No questions? All right, so let's do text A next week and work our way through it and try to do what we can on text A. All right, let me do this. All right. I want to save it. That's what I needed to do, is save it.